Good morning, Devils fans. It is finally here. We are going to get our first scrimmage game after the first rookie practice is in the books. Top of the episode here, just a bit of note keeping from what we learned yesterday briefly after I had recorded the last episode. So, biggest piece of news is we are not getting Luke in any of the games. Now, he did report to practice, but he is not going to actually play in the games. No reason to risk any injury for him going into those. He is a lock to make the roster. And so while he is obviously there to still get acclimated and everything, being a rookie, not worth him having to actually play to get his engine going leading up into camp. High risk, low reward, so it makes sense that they are not actually having him play. Other piece of news is also coming from our big name out of camp, and Simon Nemec, who has switched over to the number 17. He said the reason for that is he likes the number 7. Obviously, he is not going to get that for at least a number of years, if ever, with Dougie here. And that 17 is closer than 5. So, makes sense, I guess, in a sense. He likes the number 17, so he will be going with that going forward. Obviously, the big thing for today is we'll be playing the baby Senators over at the Buffalo Challenge at noon today. You can stream that over at NewJerseyDevils.com. It should be on YouTube. I think it's even on TikTok, and basically every social media platform seems to have some stream available for this game, so definitely check those out. From here, just going to go ahead and jump into some good quotes, at least things that stuck out to me from the coach and player interviews post-practice. Obviously, we got a little bit of footage coming out of the guys actually on the ice running drills. Got some nice social media presence of the guys doing media with, funny glasses, funny poses. Luke looking stoic was a good picture as well. And then we did get a little bit of what karaoke songs would you do, and we had Chase Stillman coming in with some Dolly Parton, so was a nice, fun little, media availability, letting us get to know these guys. So from the media presser that we did get, Deneen spoke for quite a bit. For the most part, a lot of these were just fairly hockey answers, nothing to really form from them. I don't want to waste our time just, diatribing what he basically just sputtered out there that doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme. But there was a few quotes that he did have that stuck out to me. He did let on that at these tournaments, at these practices, there are certain guys who he is eyeing up and most of his focus is going on. Obviously, that's going to be probably the likes of Nemec, Clark, Villain, Philman, and the likes. Probably not too many of the PTO guys, but he does say that sometimes you are doing that and someone you weren't really planning on watching much at all, he was just a body to be there, absolutely draws your eyes to him and you end up getting glued to that guy and falling in love with them. So definitely keep an eye out to see if we have any of those guys that maybe if they don't earn a deal with the big club, catches Deneen's eye enough that maybe we offer them a deal for the AHL, which would be a dream come true for a lot of these like PTO type guys. So would love to see that for them. He did bring up how in previous camps that they would actually just show film footage of returning guys, just showing, where they were, what they were doing, and, how they will progress for this one. But instead this year, he actually had guys stand up and just kind of narrate their thoughts and opinions on what was going on for this. And the two names that he mentioned were Clark and Nemec, having shared their experience to the entire locker room, and how Nemec's English has very much improved. Sticking on Simone, he talks about how going up to guys in the locker room that were there for their first times and just kind of showing his leadership, talking to them, making them feel more comfortable, answering questions, letting them, just get a feel for the room. And the guys was a big signal to him that, Nemec is ready to take that very next step, that giving him the A for this weekend. I don't know if it's official he'll be wearing that down in Utica if he is there or not, but at least for this weekend, that this wasn't a push on Simone, but this was something that he did deserve. He did also mention that in the days that he has been at the rink, he has seen Timo, Bratt, and Holtz all working out and practicing together at the rink, at least there recently. I don't have an exact time frame for how long that's been going on, but that's awesome to hear and see. I mean, these are going to be very big contributors at the wing for us this season. At least that's the hope for 2, if not all 3 of them. So knowing that Holtz is keeping pace potentially with those 2 on the ice is all you should really need to hear as a Devils fan to be very, very hype. 2 last bits from Deneen. He had high praise for Clark. thinks that, hey, if there was a year for him to make a push, it would be this one. Commented how just a couple years ago he really just looked like a kid, but this year he has really grown into his body, put on a lot of weight, and I'll get more into Clark here in just a moment. He did say Schmid has spent the offseason here in the States. He did go overseas to his home for a small stretch just to, see friends and family, but otherwise has been here. I believe he practiced most of the time in Rhode Island, but he has been in Newark the past 2 weeks getting ready for this season. Again, said he's just the cool, calm, collected guy he always is. No highs too high, no low too low, always just even keel. So if you thought maybe it was a blip on the radar last season, I wouldn't say that at all, as I think Schmid is set for a big, big year. Next up in the interview was Nemec. He said last year was actually very difficult, not knowing anyone coming into his first camp, especially not being as comfortable with his English as he is now. But this time around has been a lot easier, knowing more guys just from the coaching staff and the players in the room as well. Again, he brought up how 17 is more like 7 than 5. Sure, I mean, go with it. 17, I think, is a pretty solid number. I probably would have liked 5 better, just used to those, low numbers on defensemen and the such. But hey, 17 has history here. We'll see if he can make it his own. And last little nice quote for him was he likes the style of hockey here more than he did over in Europe. Now, is he just gassing it up? Maybe, but always good to, hear that he is adjusting well to the smaller ice and play here as opposed to guys that seem to struggle in that transition. Clark was the next interviewee. Talks about he spent the all season working towards filling the third, fourth line role in the NHL. Now, he's been a top 6 guy staple down in Utica, and that has generally been the style of play he has geared toward. But it seems like he has realized, especially with how stacked our roster is, there is no path for him making that type of role on this team. So instead, he focused on the realistic aspirations of being a third, fourth line guy going forward. So if he's now gearing towards working out, putting on the bulk and the weight for that, hey, maybe he makes the impression here and actually makes it very difficult choice between him and Foote, let's say, on that fourth line left wing. So definitely keeping an eye out on him. I did want to say for the game later today, speaking of guys to keep an eye on, really all I could tell from a quick little look with the Senators roster is they have a guy, Tyler Boucher, who was a first-round pick for them a couple seasons ago. No one else name-wise really stuck out to me. So if there was any Ottawa Senators guy to, keep an eye on for, maybe we'll see them in the NHL, if not this season coming up soon, it would be Tyler Boucher. So while we have definitely, I think, a few different guys that are of interest, the Senators at least have one guy, so should at least make for an interesting game. Going back to Clark, he did say he very much enjoys these tournaments because it gives him a couple games to really rev up into training camp. The NHL guys are going to come in ready to rock, and it really gives the younger guys a chance to just build up that momentum going in and hopefully, grab the horse and run with it, as the saying I don't think goes that way. But yeah, Clark has high hopes for himself. Really, he is really gunning for an NHL roster spot this season. And then wrapping out the interviews was Chase Stillman. He did say this all season mostly was working on his off-puck play and just being that engine, energizer bunny type guy. The biggest takeaway for me on Stillman is, one, he has a great attitude. Guy is a very good quote machine. When asked about his surgery on his nose, he said, "Sniffer is working real good now," with a nice cracked smile. He seems like a great dude. They love him in the locker room. Devils fans don't need to be upset at him for being picked in the first round. That's not on him. And I still think, hey, well, he's probably not a top 6 guy here. If he even fills out a depth role and is that type of player, say a Sergei Brylin type, I think that could be huge for this team. And, if he gets into a crazy amount of games played in the NHL, even if it's in a depth role, I'll take that on a third pick, end of the first round type guy. Last note on Stillman is he's saying with the nose surgery, he is sleeping a lot better. Previously, he would be just rolling around all night. There was really only one position he could even lay in at night to even breathe. And I don't know about you guys, but I know when I'm actually sleeping consistently and a lot better, which has been hit or miss here, having 2 kids under 2 right now. But when you're sleeping good consistently, that just flows out into the rest of your day and your life and just makes everything so much better. So I'm really hoping that jumpstart Stillman into the trajectory of making this big squad. I don't think it's this year. I don't even know about next year. Probably needs a couple years in Utica to really get going. But from there, when we're really, really taking over the NHL, I could see him stepping into that depth role. That was really it from the interviews. Obviously, we don't get too much on ice stuff from these practices or anything. But here in a few hours, we'll be in the midst of watching a prospect challenge game, scrimmage with the Ottawa Senators, and then right back at it again tomorrow. So looking forward to actually discussing what I am seeing on the ice. I will definitely be watching that and giving all my thoughts and opinions to you guys tomorrow as always. It is Friday, end of the work week. Hopefully all of you get to step away or ignore work in some fashion to be able to watch this scrimmage. And then it is into the weekend for more Devils hockey. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning as always. And forever, let's go Devils.